All right, I'm as fired up as John Gruden was in this last video that I posted of his on Barstool. Football background, coaching. Will Clark, I just posted a video of him. He had baseball background, forms of coaching, but these guys would be considered old school, and their sort of mic drop moments and their commentary sadly gets attached to this version of old school. And with old school, we disregard where there is no old school, there is no new school. So let me bring a completely, entirely different playbook from a coach's point of view, a player's point of view, a trainer, strength and conditioning point of view, nutrition point of view, immune point of view, medical point of view, recovery point of view, injury point of view, symptoms, disease, illness, point of view. All right, so here we go. Because they're absolutely accurate. With no background or training in human performance other than coaching, they have common human sense, developmental sense. What makes them experts in the field? That they're human beings. And they can sense it themselves. And they sense that something's not clear here. Something's going on. With more of these rules, with more of these changes, with more of this protection in all sports, we have less people being able to do less. They're performing less. They can't handle as much. They're fragile. They mentally can't handle anything. They can't process. They can't problem solve. There's no accountability, no responsibility whatsoever. And the money is at an all-time high. So let's just first put it into a statement. Ready? And fucking put this on repeat. We are at a day and age in humanity where we have all human beings, not just professional sports, all human beings at a record level, the highest level. I mean, in 25 years of me doing this and observing, I will say it's at this highest level, but we can go retrospectively and look back, and we understand so much less about our individual selves than at any other point in time in fucking history. The individual understands themselves less. Now, some of you might be going, wait a second, we've got technology, we've got measurements, we've got metrics, we've got diets and exercise, we have breakthroughs in training, breakthroughs in technology, breakthroughs in all these hacks and science and biohacking and all these things. We can monitor blood, monitor this, that, and make all these changes. I thought, oh, we know more. We know intellectually, we've measured more than ever in the history of ever. And with that knowledge comes lack of an understanding, and there is a big difference. You can know what's in your blood as a marker of hormones or inflammatory markers, but you don't understand why your body would do that, and that's not ever pathology and it's perfect for you. You can know that you don't feel good. You can know that you're sensitive to a certain food and that you have a marker in your blood or in your nervous system or something pops up, but you don't understand why you feel the way you do after consuming a food, or why you couldn't be able to digest that, rather than whatever's in your blood is the cause. You can know what your rotational angles are of your shoulder and elbow at any time, but you don't understand why you can't make a pitch to a certain location when it counts, with people watching, with players yelling at you, with you being tired, with you having had a fight with your wife or boyfriend the night before, with you being under contract, with it being a free agent year, with you having a ingrown toenail on the push-off foot, with you being on medications, with you needing to be accountable to the growth hormone and peptides and stem cells that you've had as treatments for the last 11 years. You don't understand that, but you can know all the stuff. And so that is what I'm saying, is we are at a record level of knowing more than we ever have, but we understand less. And the proof is what these guys are talking about. Everyone's injured. Nobody understands themselves. Nobody can make the call. Nobody can practice. Nobody has the capacity to practice as much as required to become an expert in a skill set. If you're a musician, you are to practice all day, and you wouldn't be needing to, you would just want to. If you're a thrower, you are to practice all day, every day. If you're a runner or a tackler or an artist of some kind, you're going to have to. We don't have the physical capacity to understand our bodies, to put ourselves into practice, to be able to shape our game without completely having the body fall apart and get our attention, saying that we can't handle this. So we've got NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL. You have it across soccer, you have it across the board. Men, women, doesn't matter. Take it from the highest level because it's the easiest to see, because everybody gets an opportunity to watch those games or listen to those interviews, and then sprinkle it all the way down to youth, because we're applying this same logic to youth. Now, what's happening now? Meaning we have the highest number of specific training programs that everyone's just repeating, copying and pasting, just like little robots. We have the highest level of diets, special diets, and everyone's on an eating plan. We have the highest level of amount of things in our cupboard that are special bottles that are to address a specific genetic code and a specific genetic marker. And we've got, so with all that, we don't have somebody understanding what is nourishment, what is training, what is physical activity, what is fatigue, what is musculature, what is it like when the morning versus the night. We just have people repeating programs and doing a copy and paste, plug and play, check all the boxes. And we have, at the highest level, freaks. But in my opinion, it's not impressive that we have records being broken and what they do in the NFL and the NBA and MLB and in the Olympics. And that's not impressive. What would be impressive is breaking all these records, and then when they're done playing, they understand their body, so they would understand not to blame disease or illness on their body. They would understand all their future injuries and how to live differently. They would understand addiction. They would understand relationships. They would understand everything about their body. Instead, you have Usain Bolt, who has no fucking idea, because he's just been programmed as a freak to then express more freak through the most regimented, like idealized, like way to just run fast, express a trait as high as you can. And now his spine is curved. They're going to call it scoliosis. He has lung concerns. He has, they say, health concerns, all this. No, his body's just like, hey, you sacrificed and broke a fuckload of rules to become the fastest runner in the history of the world. Now you're going to have to catch up with what you were to understand about yourself in doing so. And there is a world where we can have high performance and longevity. You should never retire from your sport because of an injury. Ever, 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 ever. You retire from your sport because of an injury that you don't want to do the work or sacrifice or understand your body to stick around. But this decline as we age, that's not in the code. And that's already science backed and followed. So, again, it's telling when you have a professional athlete who broke rules of development and healing, and with one of the biggest ones being that when you have symptoms or injuries or any kind of body expression of any kind, you are to slow down. Well, you can't slow down. That's one of the biggest rules you break, and you have to own that you can't slow down because you're under contract, or you're in a season, or there's other players and there's competition. So again, when we look at this, it's multifactorial. But we have, at the highest level of sport, the highest level of human expression that they've measured per the sport, but the lowest level of that individual understanding who the fuck they are. Throw into the mix that we have now, for the first time in history, the highest number of treatments and gadgets and therapies, physical therapy and occupational therapy. Two professions need to just absolutely burn up. We have more tricks and bodywork trades and all these implementations that we can quiet and numb and make the body shut up, feel better, and get them back on the field. We have injections, we have over-the-counters, we have treatments, and now everybody's doing those to the highest level, and bodies will only be numbed and muted for so long before they will come through and prevail, because nature will always win. So that's also thrown into the mix. And then finally, who's to solve, if you have injuries in a sport, who do they ask as a foremost authority? The orthopedic fucking surgeon, the mechanic. You could put a monkey in a white coat and have them teach them to operate, and they're at the highest level of orthopedics. An orthopedic surgeon literally understands nothing about how the body operates and how it works. They just know anatomy, and that's not you. You have lively animated tissue that is everything about you being a human. I've spoken in front of these people. They are all science-based database. They literally look at it as an anatomical structure. This connects to this breaks, you eliminate this. So follow the kinetic chain, but if it's for arms, it's hands to the shoulder blade, then we stop there. If it's the hip, it's the foot to the hip, and we stop there. There's no elements of beliefs, values, placebo, nocebo, treatments, technological breakthroughs, the problem with diagnostics, the problem with imaging, they would never understand that. And so that is literally who's leading the charge, with agents and management in their back pocket. So again, this isn't going to get solved anytime soon. It's sad because you have, families are at stake, and families get to go through everything that the player's going through. But I think it's just fucking hilarious because it's going to get much worse, much worse. And you're going to have people like these screaming out, like John Gruden, Will Clark, and myself. And then it gets wrapped up into old school. Well, old school would have worked. If old school made sense, it would prevail now. But old school wasn't, because you had people not understanding their body in the old school thing. So it's not even a school or a way of a system or an approach. It's just human, but we've never seen that, because again, you have to put the individual into the equation. That's the individuality is what demolishes any kind of systematic or protocol or algorithm that science could ever even imagine to measure. So when you have a torn ligament, or you have a concussion, or you have a pulled hamstring, or a ruptured Achilles, it's the Achilles of the person. It's not an Achilles. It's not a MCL, UCL ligament. It's not a brain, lobe of the brain and bruising and bleeding. No, it's the individual that is attached to that. And you're going to have to go into each individual case. More importantly, the individual is going to have to understand why their body would be doing that. Why would their body be speaking that way? What rules are they breaking? How are they living? Why are they living? Who's involved? Who's at home? What's under their bed? What's in their closets? What's in their wallets? What's in their minds? What's in their secret notes in their phones? What's in their games? What's in their nourishment? What's in their... And you have to demolish diets. You have to demolish training programs. You have to demolish systems. You have to demolish... But that's not what's going to happen. There's going to be more systems, more diets, more protocols, more fucking strength and conditioning certified, more of this, more of that, more control. And what did I say? When you try to control the human symptom and injury as it changes in the body, if you try to control it, what does it do? It gets more amplified. You try to control a rolled ankle, it sends it up to the knee, to the other ankle. Happens all the time. Single Achilles tendonitis, try to control it, try to go to Germany and do all this bullshit, throw the Achilles tendonitis in the other ankle, and then throw it into a torn ligament in the knee. You try to control symptoms through the skin, you try to control immune responses in the lymph, you try to control hormone responses. What does the body do? It gives you an opportunity to go more, only gets louder because it wants that person to understand more, and what it was doing before didn't work, so it spreads it. Call it metastasize. It does it with injuries, it does it with immune response. So try to control, and things look to appear to get out of control, and they're also breaking the number one rule, besides slowing, when you have symptoms or you're trying to understand your body. When human beings are protected to try to prevent, what you end up doing is you weaken the system. It happens with shoes, it happens with orthotics, it happens with eyeglasses, it happens with contacts, it happens with antibiotics, it happens with immune injections, it happens with bicycle helmets, it happens with... You increase the safety to reduce the individual responsibility, and what you will have is a less prepared individual, now grossed out over billions, and you have less prepared groups in the billions that are, they can't take it, they can't handle it. So to protect, to prevent never works, but they're doing it. Halloween. So that's my take. I salute you, John Gruden. I salute you, Will Clark. Keep it going, boys.